Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session. My name is Dr. Detina Zali, and I'm the academic course director of pre-medical studies, for which we are going to talk a little bit about during this session. And with me, I have here Dr. Emma English and Dr. Hazel Stewart. If you want to introduce yourselves, please.
Hi, I'm Emma English. My role at the Institute is to look after the whole medicine, health and life sciences portfolio.
Hi, I'm Dr. Hazel Stewart, and I'm the course director for the undergrad certificate in infectious diseases.
We will start this session by me giving a short presentation about our pre-medical studies. And Hazel, if you want to give a little bit information about the infection and diseases. I will share my screen for all the students. And after we share our presentations or informations about the course, you have the opportunity to ask us any questions. So I'll start sharing my screen. I hope you are seeing my screen. So I would like to give firstly an introduction about the Certificate of Higher Education in Pre-Medical Studies. I'm going to talk a little bit about the course content. And at the end of this presentation, I'm also going to introduce you to one of our students who is enrolled in the course, Gemma, who is also present here. And then following that, we'd be very happy to answer any questions that you have. So the pre-medical studies is a full-time flexible course that mirrors the intensity of a medical school, while at the same time allows you to fit your studies around your everyday lifestyle. The course is divided into online activities, online synchronous sessions, but also in-person activities, for which I will explain a little bit later on. There are essentially two teaching blocks in the course. The first teaching block starts from September until January 2026. So we start from the 8th of September until 30th of January. This is the first term. And then we have the second block, which starts in February and ends in July. For the pre-medical studies, there are 2 days or in-person teaching, as we call it, where students are expected to come at the University of Cambridge. This is a full-time study. It's 120 credits at level 4, and it involves 6 modules, and we focus on the key knowledge and skills. As mentioned previously, we have asynchronous delivery, which is mainly done online, but we also have in-person teaching in Cambridge, and lab sessions as well, where students will have the opportunity to do some lab practicals, both in the field of biology and biochemistry. These are our modules that you will be learning from. We start with cell biology, where we discuss cells and tissues in teaching block 1. We also start with the foundation knowledge of chemistry and biochemistry. You will also learn about research, academic, and interpersonal skills. In teaching block 2, we start teaching more about organs and systems. You will learn about the different systems of the body and the different organs. And we also learn about the intermediate chemistry and biochemistry. We will also focus on health psychology and sociology later on. This is a very intensive and demanding full-time course, and which is focused on biology and chemistry and pre-medical studies. In biology and chemistry, students are assessed 100% exam, where you will have 2 sections, Section A and Section B of the exams, that involves multiple choice questions in Section A and short answer questions in Section B. Whereas the pre-medical studies, students are not going to assessed on an exam paper, but it's 100% coursework that involves essay writing, but also presentation. This qualification is recognized at the University of Cambridge, University of East Anglia in Norwich, and Anglia Ruskin University in Chelmsford. And each university has its own application process and criteria. For example, some universities require UCAT. However, we do support students for their medical school application that they normally do in October. The expected marks in the Certificate of Higher Education in Pre-Medical Studies are around 70 to 75%. Therefore, students need to achieve this grade in order to succeed at the medical school and other universities. However, it's very important to state that there is no guarantee of offer, even if grades are met. Therefore, we do not guarantee admission to medical schools in any of the universities above. If you'd like to know more about the course, you can visit the ICE websites, where we have more information about the course itself. The application deadline is on Wednesday, on the 21st of May. Shortlisted candidates will be interviewed via either in Cambridge or via Zoom. There is no formal academic entry for students who are applying for pre-medical studies. However, to apply to medical school, you must have at least 6 GCSEs. Out of these 6 GCSEs, you need to have at least 6 grade Bs, of which you need English language, mathematics, and equivalent of 2 sciences at grade B or above. Preferences in the admission process for the Certificate in Higher Education in Pre-Medical Studies will be given to those applicants with the above qualifications and who express an intention to go to medical school. Students should not currently be studying level 3 qualification or be a recent school leaver in order to study pre-medical studies. And with that, I would like to introduce our student, Gemma Crawford, who is our current student in the Certificate of Higher Education in Pre-Medical Studies, who can share with us a little bit about her experience in this course and anything valuable, Gemma, that you can share with the potentially next cohort of students.
Hi, thank you so much. I've been studying pre-medical studies since it began in September 2024. And now we're in April, so I'm nearly coming to the end, which is just crazy because it's flown by. But I just wanted to say that it's been such an amazing experience, and it has resulted in me having 2 offers to medical school. So I know obviously that's probably of interest to people, as in what can the course actually lead to. I just wanted to say as well, though, that not everyone on the course is planning to do medicine. There are other people who have got offers for different courses, such as pharmacy or potentially different. What I'm saying is potentially you could use this course to apply for different things. But personally, I've chosen to apply to medicine. I've received an offer from Bristol and from UEA, which is in Norwich. So I just wanted to touch on a few things that I think people might want to know about. So the reason that I chose this course is because of the practical benefits that it gives over, for example, having to attend an access course or having to do A-levels. So in particular for me, I live in Leeds. So it's far from Cambridge, but I've still been able to make it work for attending the approximately once a month in-person days. So how it works is there's 2 days, usually, well, I think they've all been back to back, so 2 days. So you stay one night in Cambridge if you're not able to commute in. Cambridge is a great area. I really love it. I'm so happy that I've had the opportunity to come here regularly. And it's helped, this course has been accepted for me, obviously in my situation, I can't say for everyone, but has been allowed me to apply for full-time student finance, which is just a really important practical consideration of how you will fund your studies, whichever way you decide, whichever route you need to think about for going into medicine. The people that I've met on the course have been fantastic. I just see so many people that I think will make great doctors, and I think because it's so hard and intense, this journey of like pre-med, that you need to have that really invaluable support and just be with like-minded people. In terms of the kind of people that we are, so I'm 31. There's people all kinds of ages. There are on the younger side, on the older side. So I think, whatever age you are, you will find somebody, or, age is just a number, as they say, you will be able to make a great group of friends there as well. I think that's everything I wanted to touch on. Is there anything else that I should share about? I don't know.
Thank you so much, Gemma. Before we go into any questions, I'm not sure if Hazel wants to share anything about her course that she's directing. Hazel, if you want to add any information, general information for our students, and then we can allow them to ask questions.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Yes, so as I said, I'm the course director for the Infectious Diseases Certificate. So this is a first year level equivalent, so level 4 certificate that we offer. It's worth 60 credits, so you could expect to do about 200 hours worth of study over the year. It's entirely online, and it's split into 3 units, so it covers viruses, bacteria, and then parasites and fungi each term. And we cover everything from the basic principles to the molecular biology of these pathogens. It focuses on both the immunological aspects, so how your body reacts to infectious diseases, to public health aspects and epidemiology, diagnostics. We look at a One Health approach, so the interactions between humans and animals, and then treatments, antimicrobial treatments and vaccines. And then the delivery of the actual material, as I said, it's entirely online. So this is a combination of bespoke lectures and live sessions. So our students really enjoy the live sessions. It's a chance for them to get together and interact, usually via Zoom. So these are 2 sessions per unit. So that's 6 across the year. And they're 6 hours each. We have lots of coffee breaks in there, don't worry. And this covers practical techniques that you would be using in a diagnostic lab or in a scientific lab. So we have online simulations, panel discussions, and journal clubs. The assessment reflects both a combination of the lecture material and the work that's covered in the practical components. So that's both short answer questions and structured mathematical questions based on each unit. And then you choose particular portfolio options. So you complete 3 additional assignments of your choice from a list. So everybody has a chance to work to their best. And these can be anything from essays to presentations or posters. Generally, our students are people who are already either working in some sort of health-related or scientific-related area that want to expand their skill sets. But we also have a lot of people looking to upskill to get into other undergraduate courses as well. So yes, as we said, our age ranges as well, from anyone from 21 right up to 60, 71 we've had. So yes, if you'd like to know more, please drop your questions in the chat, or I'd be happy to receive emails in the future as well.
Thank you so much, Hazel. So while we wait for the people to write the questions in the chat, we have received some previous questions from some potential candidates. So I will read the questions and I'll provide some of the answers. If Hazel, you or Emma wants to provide other answers, you're very welcome to. So one of the questions that students have written is there any English test or foreign language test or similar requirements that they need to take? If English is not your first language, your application will require proof of English language proficiency. This is offered by a number of providers such as IELTS, TOEFL, or Cambridge English. However, you need to contact the enrollment team. You can email enquiries@ies.cam.ac.uk for more information. The next question that students have written is, what scholarships are available for international applicants to your courses? We have a range of bursaries available to our students who are pursuing an undergraduate course with us. So if this is your first time in higher education, then you might be eligible to apply for either the first time in higher education bursary or the Edward and Ivy Rose Hood Memorial Bursary. We also offer more course-specific bursaries, and part-time students living in England and applying to study one of our undergraduate courses may be able also to apply for a student loan from Student Finance England. Another question that the students have written is, I'm interested to know how it works. If I will have library access, for example, remote access to materials such as journals or book chapters to support studying part-time. Please, could you give a bit of information on this? Does anyone want to take this question, or shall I, Hazel or Emma?
I can say as well.
Okay, Gemma,
It's
Gemma,
just
you
like
are one of the students.
it's just such a funny question, because I was just saying to Angie that we're going to go to the Faculty of Medicine library, which we can go to. I know one of the previous course applicants went there as well, so I'm really looking forward to that. In terms of accessing journals, everything online, then yes, you get a @CAM logon, so you can access all the journals that are available through that as well.
Yeah,
I think you can also go to the main library as well, the main university library, so you have access to that, and all the sort of breakout rooms and study rooms that are available can be booked, so that you can do quiet study space or group study space within the main university library as well.
Thank you so much. And another question from the students is, are you allowed to take 2 main subjects at a time?
I'll answer that one. So it really depends on what you're doing. There are a couple of restrictions on some of our courses. You wouldn't be able to do the full-time undergraduate pre-medical studies course plus another one, but there are possible combinations for taking 2 courses of the other 60 credit units. You would really have to consider whether or not you have the capacity to give the time and energy to both courses if you were to take 2 at the same time. If you are studying at another university, they may well have restrictions on what you're allowed to study outside of the course that you signed up to that university. So even if you were offered a place on one of our courses, you would also have to abide by the rules and regulations of the current institute that you're at if you're already at another HEI.
Thank you so much, Emma. And another question from one student is, are you eligible for a student card on an undergraduate certificate?
Yes, basically, yes, all of our students get student ID cards. That's how you get into the library and access other services. So it's useful. Some of the students can get discounts in certain places when you are in Cambridge as well by showing your student ID card. So it is useful to have that, to apply for it and to get it if you're on one of our courses. I was just wondering, Datina, there were a couple, I think, questions that were sent in, so that were course-specific questions. I don't know if you wanted to address some of those. So the first one was, around GCSEs in the middle of my course. My grades aren't the potential that I could have got. So if we've got a grade 5 science GCSE, is it okay for us to, for this person to apply for the course? And the answer is yes, we will consider people with a grade 5 GCSE science. It doesn't mean to say that the university that you might want to apply to for medicine will necessarily accept that, or some of them do accept slightly lower grades than others. But if you're doing our course and you're successful on our pre-medical studies course, there should be no reason why you wouldn't be able to do GCSE science, because we're working above A-level standard. It's level 4 undergraduate university standards. So it would certainly help prepare for a resit in GCSE science. But you'd have to really speak with individual medical schools as to whether or not they would accept those grades, and whether or not you'd be expected to do a resit, and whether or not, because some universities may not accept resits, whether or not they would actually accept a resit as well. So need a bit of research in terms of what would be required from application of medical school. But in terms of getting onto pre-medical studies or getting onto infectious disease, then there should be no that wouldn't be a restriction. For pre-medical studies, obviously we interview, but that a grade 5 in GCSE science at this stage wouldn't preclude you from getting onto either of our courses.
Thank you.
So I'll hand back over to Gina.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emma. There's another question from Chris, who asked what percentage of students go to study medical school at partner university. So we're very proud to say that a lot of our students who have been applying to medical schools have had offers from partner universities, but also other universities as well. Gemma is an example of those students, and maybe she can talk a little bit more about her experience. So essentially, if you study well in the pre-medical studies, and if you do well in UCAT test as well, this is another component for some medical schools. We would say that a lot of students who've done well have done very well in getting offers from different medical schools. Maybe Gemma, if you can share a little bit about your experience, what it was like.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, yeah, that's right. So I think everyone who has applied on our course has at least one offer. So just to be clear, not everyone has applied for medicine, but everyone who has applied, I think, has at least one offer. It is subject to UCAT, yeah, that's true. And if you're applying for graduate entry medicine, it might be subject to a different test called GAMSAT. The application process. So what I did was emailed virtually every university that I could find a contact for. I was discussing my individual circumstances with them. And although, that's obviously quite time intensive, I would really suggest that that is the best way that you do your research, because, you at the end of the day, it's really important that you get it right. You only have four opportunities to apply for medicine on a UCAS and one for a non-medical course. Oh, I should say as well, sorry, my fifth choice was biomedical science, and I've had an offer for biomedical science as well. So that's something else to consider. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, I'm the first person to use this course to go to Bristol University, which I think is just fantastic that they accept this course. I would definitely encourage anyone who is interested in that to reach out to Bristol University. Yeah, maybe I'll see you there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gemma. Yes, as Gemma said, we've been quite successful in at least all our students this year in this cohort have had an offer, whether this is to go to medical school or other biomedical science or pharmacology careers. There's another question which says, what is a typical week like? So I would like to emphasize that this is an intensive full-time course. So there are essentially three main subjects that you are learning: biology, cell biology in the first term, chemistry, and also pre-medical studies, where you learn skills like how to analyze data, how to write essays, what is scientific research, and so on. So the typical week consists of pre-recorded lectures that you need to look at in your own time. And there is some guided learning and self-directed learning where we ask questions to the students, so students prepare the answers to these questions on their own time. And then we assume that most of our students do the work, and then we have these synchronous sessions, which are Zoom sessions, where we discuss case studies, we discuss lectures live with students, and we answer any questions that they might have. And then apart from that, we have 2 days a month where we do, one of these days we use for face-to-face teaching in Cambridge, where we discuss different case studies, or we do group activities or individual activities. And the second day normally is used to do practicals in biology and chemistry, so that the students gain a little bit of a practical laboratory experience. It is a full-time intensive course, and maybe Gemma can also talk a little bit about that. So it's not a course where you can come in and out. You need to keep up with the lectures because it's quite intensive. And the data that we have so far shows that all students who have been very committed since the beginning have done really, really well in the course and have succeeded in their medical school applications or in their biomedical applications if they apply for biomedical science. Gemma, if you want to say a little bit anything else that I've missed about the intensity of the course, that would be great.
Yeah, so That's right, really. So yeah, it's intense. So for me, I didn't have the last time I studied science was GCSE science, and that was 12, 13, no, 15 years ago. Maybe I need to do maths GCSE again. But anyway, it's been a long time ago, and so yeah, it's hard because at first it's a jump, but it's hard, but it's doable, I would say. So don't let that put you off, I would say. I guess if you are worried about it, then you can always I guess reach out and you can have a look. There's so much resources online now for teaching yourself, so you can have a look at those resources. Maybe that would be good preparation. Yeah, so it is split into three: biology, chemistry, and pre-medical studies. I love pre-medical studies. It's really if you're interested in medicine as an art, as well as as an art and a humanity, as well as a science, then that is really going to be for you. Biology and chemistry, obviously, it's pure science. First term genetics and cells, DNA, really, I loved it. Chemistry, it starts off, I guess, at an A-level standard, I would say, and then it builds up in term two. So yes, it's hard, it's doable, but for example, me, I have a small child. I work part-time. I don't know if I'd be able to do this if I worked full-time. But yes, part-time with a small child who goes to nursery, yes, it's doable.
Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you. You gave a very realistic view of what it is like to study pre-medical studies. There's another question for our students saying, is it advisable to live in Cambridge or can we travel to Cambridge? So given that in-person days are only 2 a month, commuting, to Cambridge is manageable. Although it depends on your personal circumstances, I would say. Most of our students commute, so most of our students are not local in Cambridge. They commute every time we have face-to-face teaching. So, yeah. And another question is the course counted as a full-time for student finance purposes? And yes, the answer to that is yes, it's a full-time course, it's 120 credits. It's at level 4, as I've already explained earlier on, even though it's delivered flexibly. So yes, it is counted as a full-time course. I think we've tried to manage to answer all the questions that people had written. I'm not sure if there are any more questions in the chat box or anyone else from the participants who have any additional questions that they want to ask. While people try to think about the questions that they have, what I wanted to also emphasize is that we do strongly support people in their university application for medical school. So as soon as our students are enrolled in the course, the first thing that we do is we try to guide them through their personal statements, interview preparation, and also advise them, on UCAT test. While we don't specifically teach them how to pass UCAT, we do go and support them quite a lot with pre-medical studies. We provide them letters of reference based on how they do in the course, and also we also prepare them for the interviews. So this is the first thing. This is the first thing that we do as soon as the students are enrolled.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi,
Sorry, hi,
Yes.
how are you? Yes, is it okay if I ask a question? Sorry, I might have missed it maybe.
Of course, of course.
This is on your website, but I just wanted to confirm. Is this program open to international students?
Emma, do you want to answer that, or shall I? Yeah.
Which one? Pre-medical studies or infectious disease?
Yeah, sorry, pre-medical studies.
Not at the moment, no.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to confirm.
It's
Even if
only UK students at the moment. The infectious disease course is open to international students and there's no fee difference.
And is there a potential change in the future for the pre-medical studies?
Possibly, but we don't have plans at the moment.
Okay. Is it still worth for me to apply, or it's not even worth?
Well, we probably won't be able to process it if we don't meet the residency requirements.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you so much.
Gemma, did you want to say something? earlier on.
Oh, I've just seen another question in the chat. So should we do the UCAT before we start pre-med? So you can, I'm happy to answer this. It's about the UCAT. You can do that. And I think the booking is going to open soon-ish. I'm not sure. And when you book, you can choose when you sit it. I sat mine whilst doing pre-med. So as in I sat mine at the towards the end of the period, which is September time. But there's no, I don't know, it just depends what works for you as to when you sit it. If I spent at Papworth to do alongside this course, would this be doable? I'm not sure where Papworth is. And I guess it depends on what the intensity, what the commitment to that placement would be, I think. Oh, Cambridge?
If it's the
Oh, is
Papworth Hospital, which is on the same site as Addenbrooke's Hospital, then as Gemma says, it'll be really dependent on what time commitment you've got at the placement, and whether or not you can then fit the quite intensive workload around it, because full-time course is equivalent to full-time work. So if it's a full-time placement, you'd be looking at trying to fit into full-time jobs, which is not normally viable. So, but then it really is dependent on how that placement works, what time commitment you've got. But
I might correct it might be easier if I just speak rather than like trying to fast type. No, so I want to apply to medical school. And as you know, it's really difficult to get placements and blah blah blah. So it was more, they are happy to fit around me, but it was more talking or listening to what Gemma had said about, you know, the hours that you kind of put in, and her having a small child and working part-time. That's incredible and you should be really proud of yourself. But also, yeah, kind of, would that still work? They can fit around me, but like specifically days, I don't know if you know that yet or anything.
Not at the moment, unfortunately. Timetabling is not complete yet. So because the whole university timetables at once, then you know, we put room requests in quite early, but we don't get those finalised until a little bit later in the year. So we have them before the course starts, but sometimes it can be a little bit later. So we have indicative weeks that we've asked for rooms, but until we've actually had rooms confirmed, we don't like to say, yeah, this is definitely the weeks. As soon as we know, we let offer holders know. So that would be as soon as we get information, but we don't have them at the moment. But as we say, it was it's normally only about 2 days a month, so, and they tend to be back to back with each other. So that means that the rest of the time, although we have online sessions as well, they are 1 hour sessions and they're sort of dotted through the week. So they tend to be, you can flex around, a lot of people can flex their work around those. So I believe you should get internet access at Papworth, because so you should be able to get onto the internet at Papworth, so that if you are on a placement there, you can find a quiet corner for the hour with some support. And there are places you can find on that site. It is a very busy site, but you can find places. And there's very, very good bus access from the Addenbrooke site up to the centre of the town. So depending on where we finally get our rooms, then it's an easy bus ride from Addenbrooke site up into the central Cambridge. And I mean, you could walk it, but it'll take a little bit of time. So bus or bike are probably the best from the Addenbrooke site up to the main area where most of the teaching rooms are.
Can I also say, Emma, sorry, because I'm based at Addenbrooke's and there's free NHS Wi-Fi everywhere, but in certain places you'll also get University of Cambridge Wi-Fi and EduRoam as well. So that wouldn't be a problem. It might be worth dropping Papworth a message and saying that you're interested in this course, because they'll appreciate the enthusiasm, and making them aware that you may have a very serious time commitment and they're probably happy to work around you. You know, it's not as though you're off surfing or something, you're doing something else which aligns very well with what they want. So
I wish.
I would talk to them about it.
And the main clinical school is actually on the Addenbrooke site as well. So from Papworth to the clinical school is probably a 5-minute walk, depending on what route you're taking, maybe 10 minutes if you take the outside walk. And you can book students can book study space there, or, you know, at least there's a library facility there. There are study spaces. There's quite a nice little cafe in there as well. So if you don't mind a bit of background hubbub, then there's some good space there, as well as the main Addenbrooke's facility. So it's a biomedical campus rather than just the Papworth site. So
Thank you so much.
Do we have any more questions?
I was going to say something, wasn't I? But I can't remember now what the what the topic was
We're
beforehand.
talking about medical school preparation. Maybe was that related to that?
Maybe. Sorry.
So as Gemma mentioned before, our students, you know, there are different ages. We've had lawyers coming to our course. We have had professors of economics. We have one professor of economics coming to the course. We also have people who've worked in NHS, people who have volunteered. So there are different expertise. We do require students to be up to date with the knowledge. So if science or biology or chemistry it was not something that you have studied before, we'd strongly recommend that you could start by perhaps looking at GCSE books and A-level books so that you are, you know, you have information about our course material, because we do move very fast. And we also ask our students, we want them to become independent learners. Therefore, the sooner you do it, the better.
Sorry, I've someone in our pre-med group chat, I've just asked them, does anyone have anything to say, or that they want prospective students to know? Someone said, which I'd forgotten about, which is crazy, but you actually have a guaranteed interview at UEA for medicine, unless that's changed for this year, but we had a guaranteed interview. So yes, for Bristol as well, people doing what they count as access courses. I know this is not the same as an access course, but I check with them I'm applying through that same route, also have guaranteed interviews to Bristol. But again, you know, your mileage might vary, you need to check that.
I think we've got a question about age cutoffs for medical schools. I don't know of any specific age cutoffs for medical schools. It will be down to the individual medical schools if they've got any individual criteria. They may have an upper age limit if they feel that there's insufficient time to actually develop a full career as a doctor. But as far as I'm aware, I don't know of any medical schools that do that. But you'd really need to do some individual research at the medical schools of interest and find out if they have any policies around upper age limits for application to medical school.
Could I apply to this course even if I already hold a degree? A lot of our students hold degrees, but not in, most of them don't hold them in medical sciences, but we have different students. So yes, absolutely, you can apply even if you hold a degree. The course is also for those people who want to change careers. Perhaps they've studied something else in the past and their degree is not biomedical science or medicine, and therefore you are eligible to apply, even if you do hold a degree.